Sylvia's taking notes and everything. That's so fun. I did. Oh. I didn't see that part. Mental notes.
Only reason to have an Apple Watch. You guys don't got whisper just yet, so you guys are good.
Alright, I got it super loud.
Whenever you're ready.
Ready to go? Yeah. All right, cool. So you guys, we're gonna get started now, all right?
Brian, you can put our name down for things to just charge us for shirt and for days.
Oh,
On the list. So you're getting this year.
it's fine.
Lift fast. Yes. Lift fast, I heard. Lift fast.
Classic.
Lift fast.
Memo goes, try another payment. Try another payment note. Lift heavy jet.
Oh, he wouldn't let you say it?
No. Yeah, try another one.
I usually crave for that rat.
Whatever.
Wait, you didn't even, did you work out?
Boring.
Why? $50.
It's Saturday.
I'm actually probably going to need it back because Taylor also got 60 stuff. So I think I would do this.
I'm not doing 6 days in a row.
Great. We're just gonna send Venmo back.
Not after this one. 4 meal.
Yeah, you buy a drink, and then the next time we're out, like, that was Venmo. It was just like, oh, I'll get you later.
It's just all drink currency.
Right.
Drink-based currency.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I loaned my friend like $100 or something, and I was like, I'll just buy me a drink for the next month.
June 1st?
That's the day before the it's Cameron's graduation.
Oh, that's what it was.
Maybe the other. I'm sorry. We got a year and a half advance notice from you guys.
Yeah.
We got like 2 months notice from my school. How long is this? An hour?
Yeah, but for 40 minutes to an hour. It depends on questions and stuff like that, really.
That would have been very bad.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, call him. We're just gonna go. Well, I think
Good.
we're just gonna go red eye basically on Sunday.
Alrighty, guys. So we're gonna get started. Okay. So thanks, guys, for all coming out. This is our CrossFit methodology workshop. Again, it's more of a lecture base. Okay. As we're going through the workshop today, if you guys got questions, feel free to ask. Okay, but wait till I'm done with my points before hands start going up. All right. So, because I really want to keep the discussion going, because again, like I said, leading up to our workshop today, we do touch base with this, but now I want an opportunity to really dive deep into some of these concepts. Okay. So, one thing that people forget, okay, CrossFit started back in the early 2000s, okay? It was designed around functional fitness. Our founder, Greg Glassman, had himself a question. What is fitness? Because he saw that every different modality of fitness, whether it was Olympic lifting, bodybuilding, runners, insert sport here, everyone was good at their individual sports, and they described themselves as fit, but the marathon runner was not a heavy lifter. Heavy lifter couldn't run a marathon, right? So he tried to blend things together to really find what is the overall best form of fitness, okay? And that's how the concept of CrossFit started to get developed, okay? He took what he saw the best aspects of all the sports and put them together to develop what we call today CrossFit, okay? But that idea of fitness is what we were built on, okay? Over the last 5-8 years, the games has clouded a lot of our expectations of what it means to be a CrossFitter, okay? We think we have to go super heavy, we lose track of our goals, and we try to really push more of a competitive mindset. But CrossFit was not designed to be a sport. It was designed to enhance your ability to enjoy life outside these doors, okay? So whether you have a specific sport in mind, you have a specific goal in mind, that's what you were trying to lead to, okay? But then the games really overshadowed that, and now people think that they have to go heavy, they have to go fast, to do all these different things to be a quote-unquote CrossFitter. That's not really what it was meant to be. It was really trying to make you fit and enhance your overall well-being to enjoy life. So if I wanted to go out for a hike that's a steep incline, or I wanted to be a rock climber, or pickleball, or insert another sport here, right? It's supposed to give you the ability to be able to do that, right? So to piggyback on that, it's trying to develop what is your why to training, okay? It could be, I want to be generally fit. That's a great reason, but again, that only takes you so far. Okay, because if I develop a why, because it could be I want to get in shape to keep up with my kids. That's a good why, right? I want to get in shape because I want to do the Appalachian Trail. Okay, that's a good why. Because if you're more familiar with your why, you'll have more dedication to your training to get to that point. Okay, because if you're just trying to be generally fit, that's a great concept to do, right? But dive into that generally fit. What made you come through the doors, okay? I want to look good, I want to feel good, but at the same time, once you meet the aesthetic reason to that, a lot of people kind of drop off from there, right? But if you have that familiarity of like, I want to be aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time, I'm doing it for a specific purpose, for my kids, a sport, okay? Having that comfortability with your why is going to enhance your time when you're in the gym, okay? So when we're, tonight, whenever you want, right? Think about that a little bit. Think about why do you come in through the door, okay? Try to have a better understanding of that why, and that's going to navigate you a little bit better through your time in the gym, okay? Because again, I'll use myself as an example, I have a lot of shoulder mobility issues. I'm very limited in regards of some overhead movements, overhead squats, squat snatches, stuff like that, but that alone does not define me as an athlete, my limitations. Okay? Within our gym, we adapt, we modify, and we scale accordingly so that we can keep ourselves moving despite our limitations. Okay? Just because you cannot do an advanced movement like a squat snatch comfortably or an overhead squat, those tend to be really limiting for athletes that do have either shoulder issues or mobility issues. That doesn't make me any less of an athlete. Okay? It's how I adapt and making sure that I'm staying in track with my whys to reach my goals. That's what defines you as an athlete, okay? So don't get wrapped up like, oh man, I suck at CrossFit because I can't do a snatch and overhead squat. So, right? That doesn't mean you're less of a person because you cannot do those things, okay? It's when you have the understanding of like, okay, I don't have to be the top athlete in the gym, okay? I'm trying to push myself to my own personal best each time I come into the gym. And that's why when I program now, we have our general workouts, we have a HIIT variation, we have scaling options, we have daily bar workouts, because I want you guys to be able to adjust the workout to fit your overall goals, your overall needs, your overall abilities as an athlete. But at the same time, if I have a mobility problem, and I do want to get my overhead squat, and I do want to get my snatch, you can get there. But that's a lot of outside work to be able to get that too, okay? Extra stretching, picking up other hobbies like maybe yoga or something like that, or mobility clinics. There's a lot of good apps you can use to increase your mobility to be able to do those things, okay? But what happens is that we don't do the extra, and then we still expect that result, okay? So again, don't limit yourself, right? Get familiar with your why, and that's going to drive you better each time that you come in to not get frustrated, because there's quite a few athletes, I'm no exception to that rule either, right? Certain days I get a little frustrated. I'm like, why can I do these things? I'm doing CrossFit for 10, 11 years, 11 years? A while, right? And I'm still unable to do certain movements, okay? But at the same exact time, I advance in other things, okay? But I'm also trying to do my due diligence. I'm not the best at mobility, I will admit that, okay? But on the same token, I still understand the reason why I'm not getting that overhead squat isn't because I'm a bad athlete, it's because I'm not doing the extra work that's needed to be able to do that, okay? Our threshold training, CrossFit is built on threshold training, okay? What threshold training means, okay, I'm trying to push myself to my max ability within that workout. So whether the workout's 3 minutes, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, sometimes every now and then on EnduroWOD, you throw in an hour workout, okay? But despite that, the time domain, okay, by the time I'm done, I could not do a 4th minute. By the time I'm done, I could not do 11 minutes because I'm pushing my threshold to my max ability for that allocated time, okay? A lot of the people, when we are training, when you're in the moment, you're thinking about, I have to go max output for this movement, I'm gonna redline it, but then your next round, you're half the intensity, okay? Because you didn't maintain your threshold well. So when you do workouts, make a mental note of how you're feeling. There's a certain feeling, as you all know, because you guys all experience, right? You get a feeling in your chest, right? When like, oh my, like my heart rate's pumping, oh, I can't breathe, and then you just can't produce the same result. Okay, that's going to max output, but you can't maintain that the whole time. I want to go to my threshold, okay? So if my red line's here, I go back a little bit, I'm fluttering right ahead of that, okay? I want to try and maintain that elevated heart rate, okay? Because if I'm able to maintain that, that's where, as we say in CrossFit, that's where the magic happens, okay? If you want the best results, you should not be comfortable in a workout. I should not be finished a workout and be like, huh, man, that was hard, right? I should be able to, I'm literally, the clock beeps, boom, you drop, you're on your back, you're exhausted, okay? That's kind of like the CrossFit joke, right? Especially certain days, I try to really push that intensity on your guys with like conditioning days and other things, right? To when I'm trying to elicit that response. But that response should be every day. Every day that you come in, you should try to feel that way in every workout, okay? Now, what does that mean, okay? I might have to adjust my weights. I might have to adjust maybe doing a hit variation because I'm like, you know what? My shoulder's banged up, my back's bothering me a little bit, okay? I can do a hit variation, but then you're lighter, but then you're going faster, you're going harder, right? So it's all about it's a give and a take because not every day you're going to be an RX athlete, okay? And sometimes I can RX one movement, I'll scale another movement, then I have to modify another movement, right? But I'm doing what I can to elicit that response. Because sometimes, right, we get wrapped up in the load too much, right? Let's say we have 10 reps, like, let's say it's a power clean, right? We just did that today in the workout. I'm doing a power clean, have 10 reps, I'm doing 155. Right? If I'm doing 10 reps, the only people that should be going unbroken is someone that's doing RX. They met the maximal threshold for the weight for that workout, okay? But if I'm doing 10 reps at a time and I'm not hitting the RX weight, okay, you're now doing yourself a little bit of a disservice, okay? Because again, if I'm doing 10 reps, right, I do 1 rep at a time, I take 10 seconds off, I catch my breath, and then I go back to it, okay? You're now missing that opportunity for yourself. Bless you, okay? So with that being said, I have to try and make sure I'm adjusting those weights to hit our points of performance, right? So if we're doing 10 reps at a load, right, your goal usually is about 3 to 5 reps at a time of that weight, okay? If I have 3 to 5 reps at a time, I'm not hitting RX weight, I'm now generating strength to be able to get there. But if I'm doing 10 reps and it calls for 155 and I'm doing 75 pounds, right, you're going to feel a lot more fresh after the workout than someone that did 10 reps at 155 at RX weight because they met the maximal load potential for that workout, okay? So adjusting the weights to hit our overall standards in that workout is what's going to give you that strength, but also you only need about 10 to 15 seconds to recover strength-wise to be able to produce effort again, okay? So don't be at the bar, do your 3 to 5 reps, take it so your heart rate's completely null, and then go right back to it. Because now you're not doing the metabolic and conditioning of the threshold training to get you to that next level, okay? So I'll do 3 to 5, I do 10 seconds. As soon as I drop that bar, I go 10, 9, and by the time I go 3, 2, I'm on the bar again and I'm going, okay? A lot of the times people will do 3-second breaks, but you can't maintain that. And that's where that pacing comes in, okay? I want to be able to pace myself so that I can maintain my stimulus from round 1 to round 5. Because if I have a strong first round, say it's 5 rounds of something or another, right? And I'm like, I do that first round in 3 minutes. But the next round I'm 4:30. Next round I'm 5. And I'm floating between 5 and 6 for the last 2 rounds. But your first round was like 2:30, right? That means you didn't properly pace yourself throughout that workout, okay? You're not hitting your threshold because you redlined so hard in that first part of that workout that you shot yourself in the foot for the remainder of the workout, okay? I want to have that elevated pace. That's a challenge from start to finish. So if I'm doing proper pacing in my head, right, round 1 of that 5 rounds, I should feel good about it, right? I should feel like, okay, I'm working hard. But then my 5th round, to maintain that same pace that I did the first round, that's where all the effort's going to come in, okay? Because if I have a nice kosher round 1 to round 5, to when your heart rate kind of is like low, it's kind of high, but it's kind of low, and you finish like, oh man, I'm tired, then you didn't maintain yourself right? I should be able to have an elevated pace for that first round, but by the time I'm at that 5th round, to maintain that pace of that first round, that is extremely hard because now you're tired, you're fatigued, metabolic breakdown happens, okay? And all that lactic acid buildup starts happening, right? That's when we have to make sure we're dialing in, okay? To hold ourselves accountable, right? So if I'm saying I have, let's say, same with the power clean, I know that at 155 I can do 10 reps if I can just do it once, okay? But then after that, my next round I'll be doing 6 to 8, then I'm doing 3 to 5, and you start falling off. But if my max effort, and I can do 10 reps, awesome, great, but then if I can't duplicate that, you're not maintaining yourself, you're not pacing yourself right, okay? So if my max effort's 10, okay, and let's pivot to pull-ups, right? I can do pull-ups 10 reps, 1 shot. But then after that, I do that 10, I'm struggling to go to the top, boom, I drop down, but then you're doing 3 to 5 right after that. How about instead of doing my red line and I'm burning out, if my max is 10, I'll do about 5. Because I can probably maintain 5 for that full workout, but by the middle to the back end of that workout, to maintain that same effort is be really hard, right? And that's what you're trying to do. You don't make it super hard in the beginning. You want to build up, and if I have extra effort in the tank, got 3 minutes left in the workout, I'm plowing through it. I'm trying to get as much out of it. So by the time I'm done, the clock beeps, I'm done. I'm toasted, I'm roasted, I'm on the ground, okay? If you do not feel that way, there was a missed opportunity in that workout, okay? And again, not everybody wants to feel that way. Some people are here for different reasons, okay? Some people just want to be here to be a part of the community, and that's not wrong, right? Having human connection is important. That's what makes CrossFit special, right? Our community transcends outside of the gym, okay? A lot of our friends are inside the gym, right? We have monthly events. CrossFit, all gyms kind of do that, right? So it's not limited to just us, right? So that camaraderie is something that makes CrossFit special, right? And if you're here for that reason, that's perfectly fine, right? I'm not going to devalue that reason. But at the same time, do not limit yourself, right, when you're in the time. Because again, I could do a, let's say my goal is a HIIT athlete, right? I'm trying to focus on just general conditioning. Okay, go light, right? But make sure I'm going higher in broken sets. I'm minimizing my rest time. Because if I'm going lighter, because I'm focusing on just general stamina work or conditioning work, okay, that's fine. But make sure your intensity is there then. Okay, go lighter, but go faster. Okay, minimize your rest periods, minimize your breaks, okay? So that you're having that elevated heart rate from start to finish. At no point, if it's a work rest, that's different, right? So if I have 3 movements, I say take 90 seconds off, what does that mean? Okay, that means when I have those 3 movements, okay, I'm burning through those 3 movements knowing I have a guaranteed 90 seconds at the end, right? I'm not gonna do big breaks in between each one of those movements to pace myself, right? It's a different overall stimulus, okay? So when you're coming into a class, don't just see the workout for what it is, okay? See how you can manipulate the workout, the loads, the rep output, okay, to elicit that threshold response, okay? Because despite how you're approaching your weights, despite the workout itself, there's different ideas of what we're trying to accomplish that day. Sometimes it's an EMOM. Every minute on the minute we're doing 10 reps of whatever, or 15 reps of wall balls, every minute on the minute, whatever it is, okay? But then I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna go unbroken. Because if I have 15 reps and then I'm doing 5, shake it off, 5, shake it off, then at the end of the work, end of that the end of that minute, I only have 10, 15 seconds rest. Why not burn through it, right? And say I can finish that within 20, 30 seconds, not have a nice long break versus 3 short breaks, right? Again, game the system, adjust it so I can try to meet that threshold of the effort that's required, okay? Because again, a lot of the times I see this all the time, like within our gym, with people I follow online, okay? You're not meeting the overall goals of the work, because that's what makes CrossFit fun. Every day is something a little bit different, okay? How things are structured, okay? How things are different. But let's say there's toes to bar and pull-ups in a workout, okay? Right? I'm trying to push my intensity for those 2 movements, okay? But I understand a toes to bar, even though I'm not pulling, that's shoulder work, right? That kipping motion is wearing out my shoulders. The pull-up is now pulling motion. Now I'm actually pulling on the bar. So I'm not gonna compare myself to a workout that has just pull-ups in it or just toes bar in it, because it's a different feeling when they're coupled together, okay? Your feeling is different when they're coupled together, okay? So what I'm saying is that when you're doing those kind of workouts, pull from your experience, okay? Because I always consider myself a pacing athlete, so that when I'm done, I know that this is how I'm gonna feel at the end of that workout. But that comes with experience. It comes with a lot of reflection, okay? So having like a workout journal. There's a certain athlete that I had this talk with 6, 7 months ago. And they were just like, how can I hold myself more accountable? I wanna get better at my workouts, my times, whatever it is. I sat down with them, I was like, let's do a workout journal, right? You write the workout, right? What you did for the day. Then jot down just how you feel. Okay, sounds kind of silly, but that athlete now, their threshold's double what it used to be. Because now she has a catalog of a workout, the different movements, how they pair together, okay? And now she understands, like, okay, now when there's a workout with pull-ups and toes to bar, instead of thinking like, oh, okay, I can do 10 pull-ups, I can do 10 toes to bar, but that's individually. How does that feel together, okay? When you have notes like that, you now have a better understanding of what your body felt like with those coupled together. And when you jot down those ideas, you don't need a journal forever, right? Because with experience and reflecting on those notes, right, you're able to develop a deeper understanding of how your body is going to respond to a workout, okay? So when the things are coupled together, it's like, okay, even though I can do 10 and 10, I know that, right? But they're coupled together. I remember through my experience, okay, this is how I felt when they were put together. Okay, now I know when there's a workout, let's say it's Fran, it's thrusters and pull-ups, okay? 21-15-9, thrusters and pull-ups. It's a classic CrossFit workout. But my effort, unless you're a high-level games athlete, they're pretty freaking fast with it, sub 2-3 minutes, right? Aside from those gods of CrossFit, okay, us normal mortals, that's really hard to produce that, okay? But that's a pushing and that's a pulling motion on top of the stress of your legs, right? Think about how that's going to impact each of those movements, right? Because each of the movements take away from one another. And a lot of what we do in CrossFit, that's kind of what it is, right? So having that familiarity of the workouts and not seeing like, okay, this is what we're doing, and that's out of sight, out of mind, you're just plowing through the workout, right? You're not maintaining yourself when you do that. Think, right? Take a moment. I usually give you guys about 3 to 4 minutes between the workout explanation. All right, guys, bathroom, drink. Do those things, but then start running through your head. Start running through those ideas in your head of how you can approach that workout to meet that threshold goal, to meet that pacing. And then over time, of you constantly doing that, I can view any workout that I write most of them, right? I can view a workout and I know generally how long it's going to take for most people. I know generally for myself as an athlete how I'm going to feel in that workout. So what I need to do to maintain myself, to push myself, right? based on the movements that are presented to me, right? Preparing for the unknown and unknowable is what CrossFit's all about, but at the same time, you still know what these movements feel like. But a lot of times we don't listen to our body, right? Listen to your body. Feel in your lungs and your muscles, your grip, how it's fatiguing. And I know that if I'm doing a hang snatch, right, your grip starts wearing out a little bit, right? So I know that I go boop, it starts sinking out, I'm starting to lose that grip. I might go for my hook grip, right? I start feeling it slipping. You know when you're gonna fail. So maybe stop 1 or 2 reps before you do one of those, and you miss the bar, because the bar flies right out of your hands because your grip gave out. Or you're doing a toes to bar, right? You're kipping through, I'm gonna do one more, and your grip's starting to give out and you can fall, right? How many fail videos do you see on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube of people doing that in competitions, right? You know when you're gonna fail, but sometimes you're not listening to your body because you're in the heat of the moment. Right? And that's what, like, kind of the toxicity of CrossFit sometimes is that we get wrapped up in the clock or the person next to us, right? That we lose sight of our own goals and our own body telling us things, right? So listen to your body. Your body has ways of telling us that you're overly fatigued or your grip's giving out or whatever's going on, but we don't listen to it. But when you listen to it, okay, you create a deeper understanding of how you can approach and how you can do workouts, all right? So if you start processing this and seeing the workout outside of what's just written, think about it, right? Dive into your own Rolodex, right? Your own Rolodex of your experience, flip through it, right? And I remember, like, one workout I had pull-ups, and then this other workout I had toes to bar. I felt a certain way when I was doing that, but now these movements are together, okay? Find those same feelings that you had and listen to your body. You'll be surprised at how much that changed your overall approach to CrossFit and the workout that's called on for the day, okay? When to scale and modify, okay? People get so wrapped up, okay? This is more common for men. Women, it's the opposite. Men get wrapped up with the load. Women get wrapped up thinking that they cannot do the load, okay? So women will go lighter than what their ability is actually able to do. Men go heavier than what their ability is able to do, right? It's kind of the polar opposite, right? But if I listen to my body and I understand that, you know what? I'm moving the bar, but I'm doing heavy singles, but I have to do 15, 20 reps of this deadlift or whatever it is, right? But then my heavy single isn't a drop, reset, drop. It's drop, look at it, contemplate life, all your choices that you've ever made, and then you go back to the barbell. You're now missing opportunities to meet your threshold in that workout, okay? That will be a good time to scale the weight down to hit that over stimulus that the coaches discussed in that workout, okay? We get wrapped up too much in that weight, or we get wrapped up of, like, he's saying 20, I gotta do 20 in a row. No, you don't. I expect no one to go unbroken unless you're meeting the maximum required threshold for that workout with load, okay? If you could do 20 reps of, again, a deadlift at 225, that's awesome. But I want to see that every freaking round. I don't want to see that round one, right? So if I could do 20, maybe do 10, and then 10, I could do that every round for 3 rounds, okay? But if you're not listening to your body, okay, or you're wrapped up in the load, or wrapped up in the number, right? That I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna scale it down so far that I know that I can do a kettlebell swing, right, at 53 pounds or 40 or whatever your load is, and I know that I can do it for 20 reps every time I touch that weight. But the workout was 44, and you're doing 26. Even though you can do 44 for 8 to 10 reps, but you want to go unbroken for the 20, okay? You're missing opportunity. You're doing more of a, like, stamina work, some light conditioning, but that's not going to elicit strength, okay? To get to RX, you got to make sure you're trying to push yourself that little bit. So, as an example, let's talk about those power cleans again, right? A lot of the times people get wrapped up with going from scale to RX. So common for us, for a power clean right now for women, is about 105 is RX, about 85 is going to be scaled. But what's the middle of 85 and 105? There's 90, there's 95, there's 100, there's 105, right? You have those weight integers in between, okay? So a good way to approach that, okay, to get this better threshold response and strength response that you want, there's 10 reps called of that power clean, and I know that I can do 10 reps unbroken at 65 pounds, right? But I want to get to 85, or I want to get to 105, whatever it is. I'll do the 10 reps, 65 pounds, like, okay, this whole workout, I did that for 3, 4, 5 rounds, 20 minutes, whatever it is, right, at 65 pounds the whole entire time. You now know you can go unbroken for those 10 reps every single freaking workout. So maybe next time you do the workout, instead of doing 65, I'll do 70. Then I might drop down, so I'll be able to do 10 in a row. I'm doing 6 to 8 in a row, okay? I'll do that for 2 or 3 weeks. But now, after 2 or 3 weeks, I'm doing unbroken at 70 pounds for 10 reps. Cool. Maybe do 75 now, right? You're back down to 6 or 8, okay? And build up that conditioning to get to 10. What people do, they see the scaled, they see the RX, right? I can do unbroken at scaled, but I can't do it at RX. So you never do anything in between. You stay in that pigeonhole of the scaled workouts, or maybe you're below scaled and you want to get to the 85, right? And you're below scaled, but you're just like, I can't go from 65 to 85. Yeah, no shit, that's hard, right? But if I do the 65 and then do 70, do 75, then do 80, now you're building yourself up over time. Back when I first started in my younger years, when I was like 24, okay, I was lucky that I had good coaches and they gave me that advice, right? I was stuck at 75, 95 pounds for a really long time, right? Not a long time, probably 3 or 4 months. Because I would jump up to 115 for my power clean and I couldn't do it. And I'll just get pissed off and went right back down to 95. And my coach is just like, why are you still doing that for? You're going unbroken every round. He's like, well, I can't do the scaled weight of 115. He's just like, okay, do 100, right? I'm just like, oh, never thought of it like that. Good point, coach, right? And that's how I went from doing 75, 95 pounds. Then last time I really cared about my PR, right? I got up to 255, 265. I just followed that 5-pound increase, but over 3 years, then I was at that 255 power clean because I didn't rush the process, right? And that's another thing that takes away from pacing, from your threshold training, is that I see Graham here, strong guy, right? I see him moving, right? He's doing 155, right? I'm doing 115. I'm like, this guy, right? I'm gonna do 155, and I'm breaking my wrist to do 1 rep. Then he's there, he's at 5, this little fucking asshole, right? And I get caught up in that toxicity of the load versus, okay, you do 155, I do 115, that's my happy weight, that's my comfy weight. Cool, I'll do 120 then, right? I'm trying to match his output, right? But I'm going a little bit lighter. But over months of keeping that idea in mind, of trying to add a little weight here and there, pays big dividends. As we say on PR days, 5 pounds is a goal, 10 pounds is a blessing. Anything more than that, you probably undershot your last PR, or it's been a little bit since you PR'd. We had a certain athlete yesterday that got like a 50-pound PR. I was very proud of him, right? It was great, but he's like, I haven't PR'd in the last 1.5, 2 years because I keep missing damn PR days, right? But on the other end of that, right, we'll have an athlete that just PR'd. We go about every 4 to 6 months between our strength cycles. We'll do PR days. Now we have another athlete that just PR'd, and let's say they did 225 in their deadlift, right? Now they get to 215. They're like, you know what? I'm gonna slap on 250. Let's see what happens. You just PR'd, right? Every classically trained lifter, despite the discipline, your goal is only 5 pounds, despite the strength cycle that we're on. Anything more than that, it could be a technique refinement. Your technique has gotten better. Because a lot of people, when you first start, you're going from a 95-pound power clean to like 115 in like 3 or 4 months. Oh, that's great. That's not necessarily your strength has gotten better. That's more so your technique has got refined, so you're pulling more proficiently. But now we have that toxic idea that every time I PR, that's what I'm gonna be doing, is doing a 20, 30-pound jump, right? But then on PR days, you're going, my old PR was 225, I slap on 255, even though I just PR'd a couple months ago, and then when you don't hit it, you get pissed off at yourself. Like, why can I do that? Because your expectations were obscenely beyond what you're able to do, right? So be smarter on those days, right? Don't get wrapped up in like, I have to be like this guy. I have to be like this woman. You are an individual. You are an individual in a group of like-minded people, right? Do not get in the habit of comparing yourself to others people's journeys, because you don't know what that athlete has been through. He might have been a D1 football player, or he might have been a long-time power lifter. You know, we had a recent guy who transitioned into the gym, right? Hasn't really worked out in a few years, but he was a D1 football player. And he was slapping on 450 to 500 pounds when he was active. Even though he hasn't really done anything in a couple of years, he can probably still do 3 plates if he wanted to on his back squat. And he did. I was like, God damn, dude, calm the hell down. It's your first time doing a PR with us. But although he's getting back into fitness, he still had that latent ability. But someone who's been here for a couple of years might see this new guy that's doing 315 on his back squat, like, what the fuck? Why am I getting that better? You don't know what the hell he did. You don't know his background. So why compare yourself to somebody else, right? You look at where you were when you first started and who you are right now. And that's another thing that we lose track of, right? We lose track of where we were when we started. A year, 2 years go by, like, oh, I'm not progressing. Dude, you were on a tech bar when you first started, right? Now you're at 85, 90 pounds of a snatch or whatever that we're doing, right? That is a provable result. You got stronger, right? But you are more in the mindset of the toxicity of it, that I'm looking at this person that started at the same time that I did, and they're 20, 30, 40 pounds heavier than me in regards of whatever, insert the barbell movement here, right? Or kettlebell or dumbbell or whatever is required. And we're like, they're doing this, I have to do that. But they were involved in fitness for their whole life. This is the first thing you ever did. So why are you comparing yourself to that person, right? So understanding yourself brings you back to how to properly pace, how to scale and modify. Again, we're a group setting, but we're still individuals all in one. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know exactly how to phrase it, but in all of this, like thinking about like form too, like because I'm just thinking like personally about like snatches.
Yes.
I am still at a lower weight
Yes.
because I don't feel like I have the form to do the higher weight. Then I might not be meeting the threshold. I might not be getting that feeling for the snatch workout, but I want to make sure that I have my form before I'm throwing a lot of weight overhead. So like but then it's like you can't really, I guess I don't know like when to like break through that to, I guess it's like working with coaches. Figuring out like when you're ready to do that without hurting yourself.
That is a beautiful question. Thanks, Liz. Right? So Liz is technically pretty much, she's saying along the lines of, I want to go heavier, but my form isn't quite there, right?
Or I don't have like the confidence.
The confidence. That's the most important thing. No matter what I'm doing, I should have unbridled confidence when I'm doing the thing, okay? Because if I'm approaching the barbell and I'm having a little shakes, a little nerves when I'm doing that, don't do that bar. Don't do that weight. Because that anxiety of you potentially messing up is what's going to make you mess up, okay? So all I would do is kind of default to what we just talked about. Default down to do the small weight increases. Dude, we have change plates, bro. You know, you can do 1, 1.5, 2 pound increases, right? To get to that heavier load, right? To elicit a proper form. Form and technique outshines any load on the bar, kettlebell, or dumbbell. It outshines all of that. right? You should not be focusing on the load before the technique and form is there, okay? But if you're in that gray area, right, so when you feel kind of stuck and like on that barbell weight of whatever movement is being called for, right, do that little weight increase. No, some people get really intimidated when the bar gets too big, right? So an easy thing to do, right, I would take maybe a change plate, maybe a 2.5. That'll be the first plate I put on. And then I'll put the big plate on, because now my view of the bar is a little bit differently. It's not getting wired, because that little plate gets kind of hidden when it's the first plate on the bar, right? So doing something like that is to start building up more confidence with you, right? You shouldn't be looking for sometimes a 10 or 15 pound increase, because again, your form's gonna break down. But if I just slap on the red plates that are just a pound a piece, right? It doesn't seem like much, but that's gonna build up your confidence, right? And then I might do 1.5 on each side. Then I'll be doing the 2.5s on each side, right? And that's what's gonna gradually build you up to build up your more confidence, right? But again, we get wrapped up with the load, so wanting to go heavier, and we don't remember that there's less weight you can grab than a freaking 10-pound plate, you know? And that's what I think is the biggest room for opportunity for most people in CrossFit, not even just our gym, is most people in CrossFit, right? They want the big numbers, but there's so much in between that, right? So if I'm grabbing the barbell and I'm not confident at 75 pounds for my snatch, right? Or 65 pounds, whatever the load may be, right? But I'm really confident at 55, do 57, right? You might not even notice the difference in the weight. But then you do that for a week or two, right? And now I'm at the point where like, okay, let me try that 1.5 on each side. You might start noticing a little bit difference of the weight, but the confidence will start growing naturally because you're not doing the 5s on the first. That's a little bit more intimidating, maybe at that point where you're not confident with your skill, right? But if you do those small little weight changes, right? On average, most people do CrossFit for 1 to 3 years. That's kind of like the average retention for most CrossFitters. A lot of people are diehards. We have athletes like Nikki's here, right? Gus is here. Tom started later in our old gym, but you guys have been with us for 7, 8 years, right? Who you were when you started 7, 8 years ago is dramatically different. But what happens too is that we also fall in the lull of our comfort, right? If you want to advance as an athlete with strength, right? Heavier loads, okay, is doing the small changes and not the big ones that kind of jack up our confidence with it, right? It's not really about that, right? So if you feel like your form isn't there or technique isn't there at the 70 or 75 or whatever the weight is, right? But you're really confident at 55, do 57, right? Do those small weights. You might not even notice it, and by the time you're at 60 pounds, like, okay, it's a little bit harder, but your skill is there, right? Because you do the small increases, the small changes, and then you're gonna develop a lot faster that way. CrossFit is a marathon of growth and development, right? It's not really a sprint, okay? Sometimes the workouts are sprints, right? That's a little bit different. But in regards to your strength development, if you want to do it safely and soundly, right? That's my number one approach. Because again, like I'm a tall, skinny, Hispanic/white guy, right? But again, I still have a 400-pound sandbag carry, right? Back when I cared about my deadlift, I lifted 505 was my PR with my deadlift. I really haven't changed that much. I don't want to do that because that hurts a lot, right? And that's the thing is, don't forget too, and this is when your goals are going to change as you're in CrossFit, right? I started off wanting to be really competitive. I want to do competitions. I did like 1 or 2 of them when I first started. And then at the same time, in training with that, I have to compete. I have to do this. I have to do that, right? I opened myself to more likelihood of injuries because the heavier you go in load, the more likely you're going to get hurt, right? That's an inevitability. And it might not be like your rotator cuff breaks or anything crazy like that, but muscle strains, muscle pulls, the most common thing that happen in CrossFit. And boxes jack everybody up, right? When you're not being mindful of that. But if I'm taking it, right, and I approach it in a healthy way, the load will come. If you stay consistent, you get all the results that you want. We just can't go from 65 to 85. There's so much in between that. So build your confidence with just little changes, right? And then those little changes over several months is what's going to make those bigger results happen. Don't go from 65 to 70 and be like, oh shit, I can't do it. That's why I bought the little plates. That's why we have the smaller 2.5s and the 5s, the change plates, is because you have the opportunity to build confidence with incremental weight increases, right? So that would be my main suggestion to that. But also, people, I'm gonna use pull-ups as an example, right? Most people, even men included, cannot do a single strict pull-up when they first come into the gym, okay? It's a purely strength-driven movement, okay? I've met countless people that have done drop-ins in our gym, okay, over the last 10 years, that they can do 3, 4, 5 kipping pull-ups. That is great, but can't do a strict pull-up. No, then why are you freaking kipping? And that's why CrossFit gets a really bad reputation, and there's a lot of jokes with certain doctors that CrossFitters pay for their next sports car, right? Because they want the party tricks first. They don't want to develop the strength first, right? So that's why we have a rule here, and CrossFit has the same exact rule. Like in our L1s and L2s, they always stress strict before kipping. If you cannot do a strict, you should not be doing kipping, okay? We let it slide a little bit with like toe to bar, knees to elbow, because again, if you say your form right, you're pretty good because you're not dropping, right? But if I kip up for a pull-up and I don't have that strength to control and glide through the next rep, and I throw myself up, I kick my feet, I come up, boom, and I drop down, clunk, right? And then I lead to the next one, I kick up, come down, clunk. Cool, you did 3 kipping-ish pull-ups, but the amount of wear and tear you're putting in your shoulder to elicit those, right, is going to be such a detriment that's going to lead to shoulder impingements, strains, rotator cuff injuries, right? But if you develop a strict pull-up, that can go dead hang, 8 to 10 reps. That's what CrossFit teaches. But a lot of the time, most gyms, most of the owners, most of the staff are L1s, okay? They do their course, and now they're trying to appease their clients to teach them the wow factors to keep them coming. It's like, oh, I get you a pull-up in 3 to 6 months. But it's a kipping pull-up. That's not a real freaking pull-up, okay? Strict pull-ups elicit strength. Kipping is a little bit more stamina, right? And then butterfly is like a competition standard, right? But if you think I'm gonna do butterfly pull-ups and get strength for a pull-up, you're really not gonna get that, right? But if I can do 10 strict pull-ups from a dead hang, unbroken, right? I could probably do 15 to 20 kipping. If I can do 15 to 20 kipping, I could probably do 25 to 30 butterfly, right? But that all stems from that 10 strict pull-ups that you developed first, right? So when you're approaching things, right, I also might have to do extra work, right? Because if you have a hard time doing pull-ups, right, a lot of people when they first start, I say the biggest thing you should get, strict pull-up, strict dip, a good push-up, right? So that's your body weight. That's what you move every day, right? If you can get those 3 things, you are better than 98% of all Americans, okay? Because most people cannot do those things, right? But you think that I have a big weakness of a pull-up and you're gonna come in and just develop that skill from doing just a Metcon. Some people do, which is fine, because when they're in the workout, they're going to their threshold. What I mean by that, they're doing banded pull-ups, right? A banded pull-up is there to assist you. It's not there to do the work for you, right? But again, we get wrapped up. If it's 10, 15, 20 pull-ups, I'm gonna put on every freaking color of the rainbow to make sure I do 10 or 15 banded pull-ups every freaking time. And then you get mad at me in 6, 8 months, where Brian, CrossFit sucks, it's not working, I'm not getting stronger. Hey, Sally Sue, there's no one named here in the gym, so I'm gonna use that name, right? Hey, Sally Sue, you're getting mad at me, But every time I tell you to decrease your bands, like, yeah. You go right back to what you're doing, and then you're trying to do the 10 or 15 banded pull-ups in a row. Why do you think you're going to get better, right? You're coming for the environment, for the workout. You're going to get a good sweat. You'll still get mild conditioning and toning from that, but that's not give you the ability to do a strict pull-up. Most of the women, I'll use women as an example, right? Most women who have developed a strict pull-up followed the guidelines of like, okay, I'm gonna throw my black band on because I wanna try and get comfortability with the movement. Okay, now you're doing 8 to 10 reps, but then they never go away from the black band because they don't want the discomfort that's gonna be required to make it a little bit harder for themselves, right? So I might do the same thing that I said earlier with like the power cleans, right? Adding a little bit of weight, right? Decrease the assistance, right? I'll get to the point where I'm doing 10 strict banded pull-ups, right? But if I'm doing that every time for years, I'm always doing 10 every time, you're not gonna get better with that. But if I do my black band for 2 or 3 weeks, I get confident with it, then decrease the assistance, right? Do a thin black or a blue and a red. Now I'm doing 3 to 5. But if you stay with that 3 to 5, you're going to be able to get to that 10 if you stay consistent with it. But now when I get to 10 for that 3 to 5, now 10 from that 3 to 5, then people just stay there again. No, don't get satisfied with that. If you want that pull-up, now I'm gonna slap on just that red band. Now I'm all the way back down to 3 to 5. And you never kip with a band. I hate seeing that on freaking Instagram. Drives me insane. You're doing 2 cheats to get a freaking pull-up. What's the benefit in that? There's nothing. There's nothing. You never kip with a band, right? Because the whole point is there to build up strength over time, right? And then if you follow that, then you're gonna get to the point where you'll be able to do a strict pull-up because you're gradually making it harder, and once your body adapts to the assistance that's being demanded, I'm gonna get you in a second, Warren, right? Once you get to that assistance that's demanded, okay, you will excel with it if you just wanna do it in a general class format. But don't be comfortable in a workout. If you're ever comfortable in a workout, and you're not meeting the required standard in the workout, then you're doing something wrong. You should always find, our goal in CrossFit is to find comfort within discomfort, right? I am comfortable in the suffering, okay? Not that the opposite, I just wanna be comfortable just generally speaking. I want a low heart rate, I wanna feel good when I'm done. No, dude, there's a reason why our mascot, most people don't know this because they don't talk about it anymore, is Pukey the Clown. That is, if you guys have been around, that was on every gym, and from early 2000, like 2012, 13, he was our mascot because that's the level of output you want to go. It was usually the CrossFit baptism, right? Is when you puke for your first time in CrossFit, right? Most of the times when you do your first time as a new athlete, you ate freaking pasta, and then 10 minutes before you got here, and then it's a sled workout, you're probably going to be baptized pretty soon from there, all right? But if you're prepped properly for the workout, right, and you push yourself to when you feel that, I don't feel that good, right? It might happen once, maybe twice, periodically, but you'll get to a point where that no longer happens because your body gets conditioned to that threshold and that overall output. Okay? Warren, what's your question, buddy?
Threshold training.
Yes.
I usually listen to my heart rate.
Yes.
That's what I'm focused on.
Yes.
You know, I want to stay in that working zone.
Yes.
Uncomfortable zone.
Yes.
I don't want to go anaerobic.
Yeah.
All right? Because then I'm going to crash.
Yeah.
So that's what I pay attention to. Is
Yeah.
that, are you talking about the muscles or the heart?
It's a little bit of both. Usually, for most people, right, once you're conditioned for CrossFit, a lot of the time your elevated heart rate makes you break more than your muscles have to. Wall balls, a good example. Wall balls is hands down, I hate it, but it's one of the best movements in CrossFit that can push your red line and your threshold Two, in a very safe way. Worst things are having, you get a little boop in the nose, right? Or you just bounce off, it hits you right in the mouth. It's kind of gross. That happens sometimes, right? But I can feel the burn in my legs and my shoulders. And if I can say one more rep, which my, like, oh, it got halfway, now I'm gonna take a break, right? That's one of the best ways to really push the muscular aspect of that, okay? Now at the same time, if you have a heart condition, right? We have a few athletes that have like a pacemaker or something like that. You have to be more in tune with that than somebody else, right? But see how your heart rate responds to your also metabolic breakdown of your muscles, right? How do those match up, okay? So listen to your body, to your heart rate, but also see how physically you're feeling, right? So you might want to stop because your heart rate's getting a little too high, right? Usually when that happens, you can get a little bit more nauseous and then you end up being baptized in the CrossFit, right? But if you listen to the heart rate as well as your fatigue of your body, you will start making a comparison, right, of what you feel like in that situation to when I'm listening to my body and my heart rate at the same exact time, right? So I know when my heart rate's this high and I get that deep burn in my shoulders or my hamstrings or whatever we're doing, your legs, right? You will understand how much you can do after that. So I'd recommend listen to your heart rate, very, very important, right? But also see how your body's physically feeling. Because you can, even though your heart rate's kind of high, you might be able to do 2 or 3 more reps, right? So kind of keep that in the back of your mind, but also don't be to the point where I'm redlining, right? And I can do it just once, right? You want to be able to feel that burn, right? But maintain that over the time domain, over the rounds and reps and sets, okay? I'm gonna give you guys some questions before I go on. Anybody else have a question? Yeah, Sylvia.
My biggest issue is I'm just known for this. I will inevitably injure myself whenever I'm doing like a super high rep. Let's say it's a challenge or a workout. I just like can't stop myself. I will always take it too far. And my heart rate's not telling me to stop.
Yeah.
And I can still keep going, but how do I prevent myself from doing that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. What you're probably getting wrapped up in, right, is the rep count, right? It's called for 20. You say, I gotta do 20, right? But you're not taking into consideration the form and technique of it, okay? Because as we progress in a workout, the form naturally breaks down, right? But a lot of the time, I see athletes close their eyes. I see athletes completely zoning out because they want to do one more. Box jumps, greatest example of that, right? You're just going, you're at 25, 30 reps of unbroken box jumps. And then you're just like, and doing one of that. You're not present. You're trying to push the intensity, but you're not being present with the movement, and that's what leads to small injuries, right? So when you're in the heat of the moment, right, be present with your technique. Be present with your form, right? I don't want to let the demands of the workout take away from my expectation of form and technique in that workout, okay? So my biggest recommendation is you can keep doing that, right? But when you're moving through the movements, dial in. Make sure that your technique is being sound. Touch base with yourself. Because again, we have about 1 coach per class, right? I only have eyes for so much. And I might be watching you, right? You look solid rock star. Then I'm moving on to the next athlete, and now I saw those first 5 reps, but then rep 8, 9, and 10 I didn't see. But now you went from doing good power cleans here, boom, and now you're getting tired. You're like, you're not bringing hips back anymore, right? Because you're like, I do that one more rep, but your form broke down, right? Do not let your intensity or the required reps to break down the form. Because if your form is there, right, you'll be able to do the high volume and do it sound, do it safely, right? But sometimes, like, I gotta do one more rep. You're not thinking about shit, pardon my French, right? Nothing about anything aside from that rep count. Take into consideration, how are you doing your technique? Because we all know what a clean power clean feels like, right? Then also know when you're bringing those hips forward, you're not bringing yourself back to stabilize your back, right? don't go to that detriment to do those higher volume, right? When the technique isn't there, right? So, like for me personally, I will stop when I feel my technique break down, because I know that I caught it with my hips forward on this like shit, right? I'll drop the bar, even though I probably could have done 2 or 3 reps, but I'm gonna do 2 or 3 reps with shit technique, right? That's how I'm gonna get hurt. So have that, and this is what I was kind of talked about earlier, understand how your body's feeling, how your body's responding, but also how are you moving, you know? Don't lose sight of that, because yeah, do that 1 more rep, but if your form's not there, why are you gonna do 1 more rep? Right? That's when you get hurt. That's when you fall off the bar for a pull-up or a toes bar, right? It only happens once or twice, right? Or a kettlebell swing, you throw it up and you're here, so you keep going because your shoulders are tired. You could have stopped 2 reps before that, that would not have happened, right? So that's that awareness I'm trying to push the community to really dial in on. Don't see the reps, don't care about the time, be mindful of all those things, but also how's your body moving throughout that workout to stay safe and sound. Form and technique transcends rep output and load all the time. Okay, Sylvia? Not Sylvia, Rachel?
So this might be what you're talking about next, but when you want to improve, and what are optimal rest days? And what are optimal rest days as we get older? So, you know, like this lovely 28-year-old gentleman, his optimal rest days as compared to my optimal rest days, but
Yeah.
trying to, you know, that's one thing that always confuses me, that I want to push that threshold, I want to get stronger. When do I rest?
So ideally 2 days, all right? 2 days a week, you should have 2 days of recovery days, which could be ice bath, sauna. You're one of those athletes that take advantage of that, right? I can have a light rest day, right? I can go for a hike, a walk, whatever it is, right? I had a high-level guy explain this to me a couple of years ago. It was a really good point. He showed me some science behind it. This is kind of my view from him, right? Think of rest days as points, okay? Let's say I come Monday, Tuesday, I rest Wednesday. I come Thursday, Friday, I rest Saturday, and I come on Sundays, right? Each of those rest days is about 5 points of recovery. Let's give them a nice round number, nice odd number, not round number, nice odd number. 5 points each one of those rest days, okay? If I take 2 days off in a row, I'll get 5 points of recovery for that first day. I'm gonna get 10 points of recovery for that second day. Because now you're piggybacking off of that first rest day. So as we get older, that tends to be what we need the most, okay? Is having those 2 congruent days in a row, you recover double as much that second day in a row than you would going 2 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off, right? You tend to have a better recovery overall, okay? And also at the same time, right, I hurt myself pretty bad in my sport, jiu-jitsu, and so my knees, like, it's all unstable, it's very wonky from this last week. I tried to do the carry workout, and like my knee was buckling just from holding the weight. It just feels very unsteady, right? So what I did for this whole week, I just chilled, right? I did more ice bath, did more sauna. I kind of use this week as a recovery week, right? And then Monday, I'm gonna start easing back into my overall general weights and output and technique or whatever it is. I'm gonna ease back into it. But sometimes we're hurt or we don't feel good, and then we still come in the next day. We scale and modify, that's perfectly fine, but you're not giving your body the opportunity to rest, right? The older that we get, the more that we need those true recovery days of 2 days in a row. Sometimes I'll take a week off, that's fine, right? That's not gonna make you any less of an athlete. That's letting your body heal itself to get better and not get further steps back. Because if I get in a position where I'm slightly compromised with my knee, I was like, you know what? Full send, who cares? I'm a man, I'm a CrossFitter, let's go. Cool, I'm also 36, I have 30 years of martial arts experience, 10 plus years of CrossFit. My body is all janked up from my sports and my play. I know for myself I need a little bit more recovery to just be able to put myself in good positions so I don't exacerbate my injuries that much more, right? So those are things to kind of think about, right? Listen to your body. Sometimes you just need a little bit extra, right? But kind of think about that 2-day principle, right? And then like maybe this week you're coming Monday through Friday because you're just like, you know what? I had a rough week at work. I wanna just push on through, but then take the weekend off. Take those 2 days, right? If you still want to do something on Sunday, go for a nice hike, incline, right? Not everything that we do has to be something that feels like that we're going to break ourselves down. Okay? Any other good questions so far?
Piggybacking off that, would you consider like coming to an open gym and doing some like small skill work as like a rest day, as opposed to not like working on load, but like simple gymnastic work?
So I actually don't mind that. That's actually a good point, right? Is like, okay, I'm gonna do a rest day, but I'm gonna do skill. But remember, skill, I want to minimize the stress on my body doing the skill, right? Because if you're coming in and now you're doing handstand push-up work, and like, okay, I'm gonna come in, my shoulder's bothering me, I want to rest, and I'm gonna do 5 by 10 of strict handstand push-ups. That might be that's not really a rest day anymore, right? So it's making sure, like, if I want to do a rest day, I like to do like purgatory workouts on the bike or the rower, right? I'm focusing on something that's going to be low impact, low threshold, or I'll come in, empty barbell. Now I'm going to focus on my technique. It's not as bad. If I have a 135 snatch and I'm doing just a barbell with 35, 45 pounds, or maybe I'm going to grab the PVC pipe and just do work with my PVC pipe, right? Because it's a low impact on the body. You're letting your body, like, as a great chiropractor has said to me, motion is lotion, right? Sometimes just moving around to help injuries be worked through, but I'm not putting stress on my body because of the load, okay? Or because of the high stress, right? And to piggyback on what you just said about that skill day, circle back for those pull-ups back again, right? Pull-ups and dips and push-ups, right, is one of those things that sometimes you need to put in a little extra work into that, right? If you notice, for the last 6 weeks, we on every Wednesday was pull-up development day, right? And we had a lot of athletes doing it. I was so excited to see that, right? This week coming up is our last day of that pull-up progression, right? But if you still don't have your pull-up, should you stop doing that? Probably not, right? Because that's meant to develop our strength through a pull-up, okay? So if you have a big goal, double unders, another good example, right? If you only half-heartedly practice a double under in the gym, you're not going to get double unders, right? It is a weird movement. You're having 2 different paces between your wrists and your jump, right? Your body's doing 2 different things at the same time, right? That's going to be very hard to train your brain. I had one a-hole that couldn't do a double under, showed it to him. He's like, oh, I get it. Got his first try. I did not have a double under to open up my gym. I practiced for like a year and a half, twice a week, to be able to get to that, right? But I was committed to get a double under, right? And then I finally got it through practice. But in the same exact time, we have athletes with double unders, as an example, because we're talking about that now, who were so obsessed with getting a double under, every day they did 100. But when you start, how do you do them? You're doing that. Before you get to that little nice, relaxed double under. But if I'm smashing my freaking feet to the ground every day for 100 reps, what do you think's gonna happen to your shins? Right? What's gonna happen to the arch of your foot? Right? So, same thing with the pull-ups or a dip or a push-up. I'm not gonna do it every day, but if I do it two or three times a week for 3 to 6 months, you're gonna get a double under. Okay? Or if you're a little motory, unskilled like I was, it took me a year and a half, but that's okay, right? But in regards to developing those skills, it's about doing the work. You could get into the class, but that might take you 3 or 4 years, or come in before the workout, use as a warm-up. If there's double unders in the workout, We have that almost every week or every other week. Come in, spend 10 minutes and do some skill stuff with us, right? You can do those things, right? But sometimes you only want to do the work in the class. You'll try one double under, then you get one of those, fucking motherfucker, okay, singles again, right? Just scale the reps down, right? I encourage everyone to do that. We put on the board all the time. It's 60 dubs in a workout, scale it's 30. Do 30, do a double, single, right? But just because you can't do 60 in a row, doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing them, right? The only time you should scale and modify is when physically unable to do a movement. I can overhead squat, okay, I'll scale down to a front squat or whatever we're doing for that day, right? But if I want to get better at an overhead squat, I take the time doing my wall ball drills, there's some different stretching drills I can show you if you're interested in doing that. But you got to do the additional work to get better at a faster thing, that's especially a high skill style of movement. You could get better in a class, but that's take a lot longer of a time because you're only doing it once a week or every other week. That repetition, it's all muscle memory when it comes to that type of stuff, okay? So again, when it comes to developing skills, right, do the extra work. You done a handstand push-up, and it was a non-shoulder day. We post the workouts every week now on our Instagram and Facebook, right? Okay, I see they have a shoulder day on Wednesday. I'm gonna come in on Monday, I'm gonna do some handstand push-up drills, okay? I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna do 5 sets of 3 negatives. Develop some strength with that. That's great to do post-workout or before a workout, whatever you need to do, right? And if you do that once or twice a week, right, you'll do it from 2 mats, then you go down to 1, and now you're doing negative all the way down to the ground, and then you should be able to do 1. And now, I might set up a clock, do a 10-minute EMOM. I'll do 1 strict handstand push-up at a time, every minute on the minute. You might get to 6 minutes your first time doing it, then after 2 or 3 times, you get to 7 minutes. Then 2 or 3 times, and you get to 8, 9 minutes. Then after maybe a month and a half, you're doing 10 strict handstand push-ups from the wall. Now I can start teaching how to kip, okay? Because the same exact thing that's expected for a pull-up, I see people kip up so strong, and then what they do, ka-plonk onto their head, right? That's why we have the gymnastics mat for development, right, for handstand push-ups, right? Because we want you to be safer, but don't use the spongy pad as the reason why you should drop down your freaking head and break your neck. That's no fun, right? I don't think you'll like CrossFit too much after you're kind of like this, right? So doing the extra work, and if you got a question, talk to me, right? I can give you some guidance, right? I'll give you, if you want to do a full program, it'll be a little bit extra for that, but I can give you like a simple drill that you can do. I'm not going to charge you extra for that. If you're committed, then do it. You know, a good example, Sylvia, can you use this as an example? Okay, so Sylvia came to our GHC seminar, right? She was one of 14 people, or 12 people that came to that, right? After the GHC seminar, we had homework to develop the skills for that GHC seminar, to be able to do GHC safely in a workout. Most gyms, this is what we're doing, go do it, you'll get better at it. Yeah, but I know quite a lot of athletes that have gotten hurt on GHDs because they didn't do the homework or the conditioning for it. So we have a set curriculum that develops your ability to do a GHD safely. You, out of that 12 people, I think you're one of like 3 or 4 that did the homework. Now you're able to do them in WODs safely. You're not hurt. You feel great about it. But those other athletes are back doing ab mat sit-ups, which is fine. I'm not knocking them at all. That's perfectly fine. But they had the skills, they had the homework, but they didn't have the time or the commitment to be able to develop that more fully, right? That's not knocking anybody, but if you want to be able to do the thing, you got to practice the thing, right? Because you can't necessarily practice in a class setting if there's GHDs, then you're doing negatives and pause, but we have 20 to do, you can't do that for 20 reps, right? So accountability, having your why for that 3 months might be to get a freaking GHD or a pull-up, right? Then use that why as your motivation to come in and do that extra work, okay? Any questions so far before I go into the last little segment? Nope. Everyone else is good? All right. So again, short, meat, dud, long-term goal setting, right? So I encourage everyone to do this, right? A short-term goal is about 0 to about 6 months. Okay, midterm, 6 months to a year. Long-term is 1 to 3 years. Okay, my long-term goal could be a muscle up. I want to get within 3 years. My short-term goal might be able to do 5 negative pull-ups, unbanded, unassisted within the first 3 to 6 months. My midterm goal, be able to get that strict pull-up, right? But then I have to be able to do 8 to 10 to be comfortable with trying to even attempt to do a muscle up. But then in that, once I have my strict pull-up, I do 8 to 10, then we have to do the chest to bars, right? And then we can start progressing to that muscle up. A muscle up is very realistic in 3 years if you set up goals for your short-term, mid-term, long-term goal. But what happens, your short-term goal is to be a muscle up, but you can't even do a freaking pull-up. How the hell is that going to be your short-term goal, right? There's so many things that have to line up strength-wise to be able to do a muscle up. And for us, right, in CrossFit, but people don't advertise this enough or push it enough, you gotta be able to do a strict ring muscle up before I even let you go to the bar to develop a general bar muscle up. Because if you do a strict ring muscle up, you have the strength to kip and be sound with a general barbell muscle up. Okay? You just gotta pop a little bit higher because you can't have as much forgiveness as you do with the rings. But also the ring has a lot more stability too. If I don't have it right and I kip up without learning it strict, you see it all the times, even in the games, they kip up so high, they're like, whoa, clack, clink, 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 and then they fall right through the rings, you know? And now, if you're not super mobile, your shoulder just got wrecked on that muscle up, right? Because you think, okay, I did my short-term goal, right? I got 1 or 2 strict pull-ups, then I got like my midterm goal, I probably got 3 or 4 chest to bars. Now I'm just gonna start throwing my legs as hard as I can to do that muscle up. Yeah, you could probably get one, but is it safe, right? Is it sound? Is it quality movement? Probably not, right? Because we get obsessed with the wow factor, the party trick of a muscle up, because that's like dubs and muscle ups, squat snatches. Those are such like goals for most athletes that do CrossFit, but that doesn't have to be your goal, right? You can have other goals outside of that, and if that is your goal, it's how you're gonna set yourself up for success to be able to do those things, right? So again, my short-term goal might be able to do 5 negatives unbanded, unassisted. My midterm goal for 6 months to maybe a year and a half, 2 years is be able to do 10 strict pull-ups, 4 to 5 chest to bars, right? And then in my 1 to 3 year muscle up goal, I can start progressing, right? And be like, okay, have my chest to bar, right? Do that 10-minute EMOM. That is how I got my muscle up, and that's how a lot of the athletes that have got muscle ups in the gym have followed that same protocol, because it's like, all right, you have your chest to bars, let's do 2 to 3 every minute on the minute, right? You might get to 5 minutes, then I'll do that till I get to 10 minutes, then I'll do 5 to 6 every minute, then once you get to 8 to 10 every minute for 10 minutes, dude, your back is so strong to be able to start pulling, right? To do a good quality ring muscle up. We had somebody here who got his first ring muscle up strict the other day. Chris, good job, buddy. That was awesome, right? He got his first ring one because he's like, you know what? He has great chest to bars. He has great strict pull-ups. He's like, hey, let me try it. Whoop, first try, right? Versus, I kind of have a couple pull-ups, I kind of have a couple chest to bars. Let me just try and just fucking go full send, right? Now you're open up to injury. Now you're open up to getting hurt, right? Do the work and the progress will happen. Don't get wrapped up with the party trick of a muscle up as an example and skip all the work in between that, right? And obviously I always offer service for everybody for free. I don't charge people for my insight when it comes to this. If you have your long-term goal, right, but you don't know how to short or midterm goal that, talk about it with us, right? Talk about it with me, right? We can develop a plan for you. It takes 10, 15 minutes. We'll develop a plan to get you to that. But what happens if you don't have your why to why you want to learn the muscle up, by your 3rd or 4th month, like, this is fucking hard, man. I don't want to do this shit anymore. Now, you just gave up on your long-term goal because your why didn't match your long-term goal. Like an example, if I'm in here for not wealth, I don't make any money, but it's okay, right? For health and wellness, right? Why the hell do you want to muscle up? Okay? The risk to reward benefit isn't quite there, okay? If I'm a dad, right, and my goal is just to be able to keep up with my kids, have a good time, right, be able to go for hikes, do a Spartan run if I want to, stuff like that. Why the hell do you want a 500-pound deadlift? What benefit is that to you? Nothing. If you want to be a competitive athlete, yeah, cool goal to have, right? You got to be able to lift heavy load to be a competitive athlete, right? But if you don't want to, why do you want to do that, right? That was my breaking point of my wanting to be a competitive athlete. Getting that 505-pound deadlift hurt like a bitch, and then I'm just like, why am I doing this for? None of my goals really fit the reason why I wanted to do that, right? So when you're making your goals, make the goal in alignment with your why. That why justifies your goal. It keeps you consistent that way, gives you a better familiarity with your training, and justifies why you do the things that you do. But if your why is like, I want to be better at pickleball, right? Why the frick do you want to do a 500-pound deadlift? That does nothing for you. There's nothing in life that you're going to have to lift unless your loved one, it's like a Lifetime movie, your loved one's under a pin car, and you go full yeet, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, right? But that's not realistic in regards to your training. Where is the benefit to doing that, right? Find that familiarity with it. Make the why, match your goal. Your goal complements your why, right? If you have those two things, you will get through your short midterm goal and you'll reach it. But if your why is completely like abstract to your goals, then you're going to burn out with it, just like the GHDs for a lot of the people, right? They want to do it because they see athletes do it. It looks really fun. It's a cool thing, right? It gets you more stronger in your core. But again, it does hurt a little bit more than an ab mat sit-up, right? So if your goal isn't to have a higher level core and back strength for heavier lifting, you might get burnt out with that. You know, Sylvia is a core rock star. I'm going to talk about you one more time. She's awesome at planks, awesome at sit-ups. And she's like, I just want to develop my core better because I love core workouts. Great. That's a great reason why to get your GHD, right? But not everybody who wants to do HD actually has a reason why they want to do it aside of like, oh, I see Sylvia do it, I want to do it. That's not a good reason. She's her own person. Why does her choice affect what you want to do in the gym, right? So that just comes back to making sure that you are developing yourself in a way that fits within your goals, your expectations, and what you really want to accomplish within CrossFit. You know, the whole point of this talk today was to really develop and understand why I'm here. Making sure that your output in your workouts, your threshold, your pacing, your scaling and modifying reflects what your goals are and your why in CrossFit, okay? Because if one of these things don't line up, you get burnt out with training, or you get burnt out. It's just like, why the hell am I even here? You know, because you're not lining up with your goal, with your why, right? If you want to be a competitive athlete, you have to go heavy, but then expect some downtime because you're probably going to make a mishap with that heavier load, and then you're going to get a little pull here, a little injury there. Stuff happens. We are an active sport. Things are going to happen. But then a lot of the times people, they want all these aspirations. They get one setback of a hamstring pull, and then CrossFit's dangerous, CrossFit sucks. I'm like, dude, within like 6 weeks of being here, you're trying to throw on RX weight because you think you can do it. No, I don't think, I freaking know I can do it. Because I built myself up over time and consistency that allows me to elicit that load, allows me to elicit that response. Okay? That's why I lift that weight. Don't get misconstrued with your why, with your goals. Use your threshold training. Be smart about it. Listen to your body. Make a connection between your mind, your body, and that fatigue, right? Listen. Don't just do a workout arbitrarily, right? Remember, how did I feel when I was going through those reps for 3, 4, 5, 10 reps, right? If you're doing a workout, you need to scale, right? I sometimes will drop your load based on how you're looking. I shouldn't have to do that. That's part of my job. I will do it anyway. But you know when your form's breaking down, like, dude, does not feel right. Then why the fuck you pick it back up again? Or a great example, sometimes it doesn't happen too often, but like I see someone do like one of these after the workout. I'm like, dude, what's going on? Oh, that like 3 minutes into the workout, like I stepped wrong, I tweaked my back, but I was like, fuck it, I kept going. Why? Why would you do that? Modify. CrossFit's infinitely scalable. Infinitely scalable. Our staff here is fully trained to give you an infinite amount of possibilities. All right? Because our goal is, if we have to modify you, we'll scale you first to a lighter weight, or maybe you can't do a power clean, your wrist is bothering you, so we'll do a kettlebell power clean instead. Okay? Yes?
It's a good time to mention that for people considering doing the open, I know it's standard workouts for the CrossFit Games,
Yep.
but there are a lot of
Scalable options.
so a lot of people are not aware.
And CrossFit over the last 3 years has gotten very, very inclusive with having scaling and modify options, right? But to piggyback on that, where we're doing our Color Wars in-house competition, right? If you don't want to do the open, but you still want to do the workouts, I will take that same workout and adjust it and modify it and scale it to your ability, even if that's outside of what's demanded from CrossFit, right? Because our goal is to scale weight. Because if you can do the movement of overhead squat, right? Do the movement. It'll probably just be a little bit lighter, right? But if you're unable to do it, that's when we modify. Because we first drop down load to see if technique is there, right? If technique is not there or injury persists, like uncomfortably persists, then we will modify. And when we modify, we're trying to do similar muscle groups that engages differently, okay? So it's like difference between doing like a pendlay row and a ring row. That's a scaled option right there, or a modified option. It's still working similar muscle groups, but to a lesser degree. But then if that same muscle group cannot be used because I have a shoulder pull or whatever's going on, then we will just modify the movement out completely, but we'll still give you a good workout. And that's what makes us fun. You know, for instance, there was an athlete yesterday, right? The sips were bothering him a little bit, right? So his pelvis was a little off. He couldn't do a sit-up. So we did another core stimulating movement that did not impact him. It wasn't the same stimulus of sitting up and sitting down, right? But I still was able to engage his core in a way that he still got a bit of a workout, right? So do not ever, ever get to a point where you feel that, all right, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be looked down upon. I'm going to just suffer through this. And then you're out for 2 or 3 fucking weeks. What? Why? Why? Call me over, or I try to notice, call me over or coach over, and then we will scale and modify to fit your needs, keep you moving with the class. Okay? Don't be bashful. CrossFit is infinitely scalable, and that's why I love it, because despite your injuries, despite your limitations, you can do CrossFit. We had an athlete with one arm that was doing CrossFit with us for a while. We had an athlete that had dual knee surgeries that was a good probably 350 pounds, but they were committed to making themselves better. They lost 75 pounds when they were here, right? Because they were committed. But their air squats were box squats. They were just coming to here and here, right? But because of their injuries and because of their weight and their limitations, they were still seeing results because they were committed and unashamed. Nobody in CrossFit cares what the hell you're doing, right? Because when I say 3, 2, 1, go, it's you against yourself, okay? No one's gonna judge you, right? The only thing that people judge is if you quit, right? Oh, I'm tired, I'm done, right? But if you have an injury, right, that's different. Like, oh man, I pulled my back, I'm done for the day. That's different, that's perfectly fine. But if you can't do something, we'll just scale you. We'll just modify you. There's no shame in doing that. Because like sometimes, like in a busy class some days, you'll see 10 people doing the WOD. We have 3 people doing HIIT. And like you'll see 1 or 2 people doing a completely different workout, but it's working within the modalities that we're asking to do them in, right? Just a little bit different for what they need in that time, in that moment. But despite how much people think I do it, I cannot read your mind all the time. Sometimes I can based on your facial expression, but I can't do that all the time. So if you're feeling like, dude, this feels off, pull me over, we handle it and we adjust it. There's no shame in CrossFit when it comes to that. Okay? We are a community of like-minded individuals. We care about one another and we care about developing our athletes to meet your goal. There's no umbrella CrossFit. Right? CrossFit's very, very broad. You go to some gyms, they're very competitive gyms. You go to some gyms, they specialize in gymnastics. This gym specializes in Ollie. I like to think we're more of a functional fitness gym, right? Because we're functional in the sense of what's your goal, what's your why, how we're going to get there, and we'll scale and modify you to get you to where you want to be, right? But if I don't know, I don't know. If the coaches don't know, they don't know. So express yourself. Tell us what's going on, and we can help navigate the waters to get you to those goals. But if we don't know, we don't know. Okay? Any other final remarks? Yes.
Before we, I guess, wrap up, can you just, for people watching online and stuff, can you talk about a little bit about what the Open is?
Yes.
And not necessarily for the competitive athlete, but for the
Yes.
non-competitive athlete, but why
Yes.
they still might want to do it in regards to the goal setting, like
Yes.
benchmark of like
Yes. Yes, awesome. Okay, so CrossFit, the CrossFit Open is a yearly CrossFit tradition that's been going on for a while now, okay? Oh, okay. It's been going on for years, right? The whole point of the CrossFit Open is to give us normal people an opportunity to shine, right? And what's cool about the Open, the professionals still have to do it to earn their spot. You know, it was what, I think it was last year, there was like 3 or 4 games athletes have been going to games for years that got kicked out by obscure rookies that no one's ever freaking heard of. And that's the coolest part of CrossFit, is that you have to earn your place every year, despite you having to pay your way, and that's another discussion. I think that's we should be able to support the athletes that made it, and we should be able to fund them to get them there. That's another discussion. But it gives people the opportunity to really shine, and athletes that do want to be competitive to potentially make it to the games. And every year there's a beautiful story of rookies. Like, who was a couple of years ago, was a rookie, first time in the game, and she podiumed. And she beat out all these long-time games athletes. Yes, right? That was amazing. She smoked him. It was great, right? But if we didn't have the Open, and you have to like get recruited and like go to like football camps, like football, you have to get scouted and stuff like that, that might not happen. But it gives people the opportunity who want to be competitive to potentially get to that stage without needing the sponsorships to get there, like you would in the normal sphere. So that's from the competitive mindset. From a normal human, us mere mortals that don't want to be a CrossFit Games athlete, right? It's one of the best ways to test yourself in an environment that's high stress, but it's fun and it's safe, right? So that I can see how I progress from year to year to year, right? You have a leaderboard. I actually really like the app now. You can be, you can do like hashtag photographer, hashtag doctor, right? You can see in your field of hobbies, like I have mountain bike, jiu-jitsu, and like some other things, and then I see where I stack up with other mountain bikers and other jiu-jitsu guys and gals in that specific demographic. That is awesome. So you can see where I fare. You can see where you fare in your age bracket, right? If you're scaled, modified, or a RX athlete, right? That's to show where you're progressing within those communities over time, over the years, right? And it's also giving this aspect of like, if you are doing the Open, right, and you signed up, I always encourage athletes to get one or two opens in, right, because you're getting a competition feeling without having to do 5 workouts in a competition, right? It's just one and done on a Friday. But you have a judge there counting every rep so you can push the intensity, and you don't have to focus on anything besides doing the work at hand, right? And it gives you the feeling of I'm in a competition, but without having to be working out with all these screaming people at you that you don't know, that's not in your community, gives you a little bit more anxiety. So it gives you that competition feeling without having to be in a competition itself, right? Which is great, I love that, right? But on the same token, right, just because, let's say I don't want to pay the $20. It's like $20, right? I don't want to pay the $20, okay? That's fine, that's great, right? But Friday Night Lights for us this time around, you can come in and we're going to have the judge section, and we're going to have, I want to be part of the community, I want to do the open, be the non-judge section, be like a general workout again, right? So you'll be able to be a part of the vibe, the high energy of the open. If you have not come to an open here, it is so fun. Everyone's cheering, encouraging. We're having drinks after. It's a great time. It's a big community building event, right? But you can still do the open, and then you can do it on the side and do the unjudged version, so you can be a part of the experience nonetheless, okay? This time around, we're doing the color wars, okay? We're having the red team and black team, right? Everyone in the gym has been designated into their team already, right? And there's fun ways to earn points without even having to do the open. So let's say I'm on the black team, I was put in the black team, okay? Right? If I show up on Friday, right?
Team red.
Team red, whoop, whoop, right? So the black team, red team, insert your team here, right? I show up, you know what, I'm really nervous. I don't want to sign to the open. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be critiqued, right? Fine, that's cool, right? If you just show up on Friday for a general class, right, in a black shirt, that's earned you guys a point for the black team, right? If I show up to the open to support my team, that's 2 points. If I bring a 6-pack or a snack, that's 3 points. Right? If you do the non-judged version of the open, just you doing the open workout, that's 4 points just earned for your team without ever having to be judged, right? Or paying the $20, right? It's all about the camaraderie and the building of the community outside of just doing like, oh, I'm just coming in here, do the workout, get judged, go home. No, there's a lot more depth to it, and this year we're really trying to bring that concept out so you can really be a part of the community without having to be judged that way. Okay, did that kind of answer the question, Chris? I did? Okay, cool.
3 weeks, 3 Fridays?
Yeah, it's 3 weeks. It used to be 5. I'm so happy that it's 3 now. It makes it so much easier. It's a lot more bite-sizable. Okay, so you're just scaling after for that. We got you. Right, and sometimes, right, and I always tell people this, right, you might be able to RX the first workout. Most people can sometimes do the first workout RX, usually more of an inclusive workout, but then you might have to scale the next 2 workouts. So what? Changes your point system, right, because I know that the joke is if I do an RX workout for my first week, the next week, let's say it's pull-ups, and then the next week it's a muscle-up or something like this, like a progressionary thing. I might just do 10 pull-ups and then like I'm done, right? But that one RX pull-up beats out all of scaled. So people get wrapped up with like, okay, I'm just gonna do that one pull-up and then I'm gonna sit there for 8 minutes, just look at the rig and be like, okay, I'm just gonna hang out. Just scale the workout. Why do you care? It doesn't matter, right? If you're in the position where you are a true RX athlete, then you'll be doing the full RX, that's fine, right? But if you can RX some things and then scale another workout, who cares? Yeah, it affects your rankings, but you're not stuck doing RX the entire time, right? You can go back and forth, and you might have to modify, who cares, right? It's all about who you are as an athlete in the moment of the open and seeing how you progress next week. Next year. You know, I had this discussion with someone earlier today. There was like, this is what I did last year, but now that barbell that I was doing last year like I'm up in weight this year. I know if the power clean's in this workout, I'm gonna be able to bang out more power cleans. I'm gonna feel so much better about it. Provable result. That's why we do benchmarks, is a provable result of your growth and development within CrossFit. Okay, outside of just a back squat and a deadlift, it's teaching us metabolic conditioning, our threshold training, how much we advance to be able to do those benchmark workouts like Fran. First time I did Fran, I was like 14, 15 minutes. That sucked. But the next time I did it, it was 10. The next time it was like 6 or 7. Then my fourth time doing it, I got under 4 minutes. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to PR that anymore. That hurt. I'm fine. Right? But going from 4 minutes, from 14, 15 minutes to 4 minutes within 3 years, even though I might not feel like I'm having a 155 thruster, but I'm conditioned for that PR to when I have that threshold in my metabolic conditioning and my pacing down in a way that allowed me to be able to do it in that way. And that's why benchmarks and the open is one of the best ways to understand how you're developing as an athlete outside of just the loads of back squats, deadlifts, your PR for your snatch. There's other ways to justify your existence and your development as an athlete that's outside of just a back squat PR, right? The open is a great way to test your overall fitness level over time, and then benchmarks that we do on a monthly basis, okay? Any other questions, or is that it? That's it? All right, guys, so really quick, thank you all for coming. Hopefully I shed some insight. This is, we maxed out the clock, so it's a little about an hour and a half, so I talk a lot, so I cannot do this in a normal class setting. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. This was a little bit deep dive in some theories, some concepts, and understanding of CrossFit. I also want to say thank you to LiveSight Productions. Okay, they sponsored this event. Thank you very much, Chris. And if you guys want to follow them, right? He does sporting events. He does weddings, parties. He did my wedding. Streams, everything. This is Instagram. That's his YouTube. He has a few words he wants to say because I'm not techie, so I don't know what it means. So we'll let him talk about that to end it. Yeah.
So for any ASDC members here or watching on the stream through the weekend, you can join a form to apply for a sponsorship. One male athlete, one female athlete. We're sponsoring your open registration fee of $20. To access the form, ASDC Live is the password, and you have to have registered for the open to access the form as well with a screenshot of your open registration. That's open through Monday, and then on Monday, I'll randomly select
male and female.
Male and female. Yeah.
All right, cool, guys. Thanks. Yeah, cannot be your wife. All right, guys. So thank you again. And again, I am open to doing short, midterm, long-term goal setting. You can have that big goal, don't know how to get there. We can talk about it for 10, 15 minutes, and then we can come up with a game plan. All right, guys. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Ugh. Watching the game?
No, he wasn't with the trials. They ran a full marathon during, I think.
Oh.
It started at 10:10.
They ran a full marathon.
It started at 10:10. It finished a second ago.